In today's video, I'm going to be making a tier list for all of the cards in the A4 set now that it's coming to a conclusion. I'm not going to be reviewing every single card. I'm excluding all of the cards that are not really important in my opinion. So any cards that just have like a regular attack with no side effects or abilities or anything, I'm not including them on this list because I think for the most part they're not going to be that important. And for the most part, I'm also not including pre-evolution Pokemon. I'm only including the final evolutions. However, some of the good pre-evolutions did make this list as well. I've never done a tier list before for Pokemon Pocket, so let me know down in the comments if you guys do agree with the way I'm setting this up. But with that out of the way, let's jump right into this tier list. And our first card is actually going to be Bellossom. So it's going to have that 2 energy attack. It's going to do 60 damage for each heads you flip, and it flips 3 coins. I put Bellossom in B tier. I think it's just okay. Nothing too special about it. In general, coin flip cards can be a little bit risky. I do also think the fact that it confuses itself after attacking is not very good at all. So for that reason, Bellossom is going in B tier because I think it needs too much support to make it work. Tangrowth is up next, and I'm not going to lie, this card is pretty bad in my opinion. It's going in the poop tier because it's 3 energy and its base attack is 10 damage. Now it is plus 40 for each energy and your opponent's active Pokemon's retreat cost, but I think there's just too many Pokemon that have cheap retreat costs nowadays, and for that reason, I just don't think Tangrowth is going to be that good. Maybe if we get a meta in the future where all of the popular Pokemon have like 3 and 4 energy retreat costs all the time, then Tangrowth could be good, but otherwise, I don't think it's that great. Meganium is going to have that 3 energy attack. Bloomshine, I'm putting it in B tier. I think Bloomshine is a pretty good strategy. It just needs a little bit too much support in my opinion. Like, the only reason that I think Primarina was good is because it had all of the other attacks as well to work with it. So you get attack for 1, 2, and 3 energy, whereas with Meganium, you have to wait for the 3 energy. That's kind of my only problem with it, is that you have to wait for 3 energy buildup. Up next is Jumpluff, and this might be a little controversial, but I'm actually going to throw it in the A tier. I think the fact that it makes your active Pokemon have no retreat cost actually be very nice, because you can basically just go ahead and throw a really heavyweight Pokemon in there and not have to worry about retreating out. Not only that, but for 1 energy, 60 damage, that's a pretty strong attack. So I think for a non-EX Pokemon, Jumpluff is a great support. It hasn't really had a lot of use right now, but I think it will be very helpful in the future. Alright, Ho-oh EX is up next. I don't even have to think about it. This card is going in poop tier. I despise this card so much. I don't know why Ho-oh got an EX version. I never want to see this again. Up next, we have Yanmega. I'm going to throw it in B tier. The only reason that I think this card deserved to be on this list is because it does have the any type of energy. It has a colorless energy for its attacks. And so I think just with how much energy movement has been in the meta recently, Yanmega can be okay. I mean, I haven't really seen a lot of people using it, but Yanmega is just alright. Heracross, honestly, is also going in B tier. I could maybe put it A, but the only reason Heracross will be better is because you have to rely on Berry. You need the supporter card Berry to make Heracross be good here, because it only does 80 damage if it hasn't taken any damage. Although, to be fair, you can also just mass heal and spam a bunch of Ericas and stuff like that to get it back up to full health. But either way, I think Heracross is really only worth it if you're running Berry in this deck. Otherwise, it's not that great. And for that reason, because it needs another card to support it, it's going in B tier. Ninetales, I'm actually going to put this in A tier. I think this is a great card. I really wish that I made a deck with Ninetales, because for 3 energy, 120 damage, and the only drawback being you can't attack next turn. There's so many ways to get around that now, especially with the introduction of Lyra. So I really wish that I had included Ninetales in a deck that I decided to make during this season. I'm probably still going to make a deck going into the next season, because I think Ninetales is just a fantastic card, and especially with Blaine support, it can be so strong. But even without it, it can already be very powerful. So Ninetales, I think, very underrated. I haven't seen a lot of people use it, but I think it's a very strong card. Typhlosion, I'm not going to throw it in S. I'll keep it in A. S, I think, is for the actual meta changers. Typhlosion is so great because it's a guaranteed bird, not even a coin flip. Its attack is a little bit weak, which is the only thing really holding it back from being S tier in my opinion. But other than that, Typhlosion is a fantastic card. Magcargo is going in B tier. I would put it in poop, but I'll be honest with you, Magcargo surprisingly can work. Like, I actually made a video with it, and like, Magcargo can be all right if you just hope that your opponent doesn't have like 4 powerful EX Pokemon off rip. All right, Magby, I don't even have to think about it. S tier. Every single baby Pokemon that can generate its own energy is going in S tier, because the fact that you can go first and attach an energy for free is diabolical. But even if you go second, you can attach energy from your energy zone and then attack with the baby Pokemon and attach energy as well. And basically on your second turn, you're going to have 3 energy up, which is going to be really powerful for a lot of these strategies. Entei is up next. It's going in poop. I'm not going to lie. I think maybe not all the dogs, but Entei specifically is going in poop tier because this card is just so bad. It's 4 energy, 110 damage. You flip a coin. If tails, you discard 2 random energy on the Entei. And it's just like, no. Like, it First of all, why did there have to be a drawback to this already? Like, it's 4 energy, 110 damage. That's already not a good attack. The 3 colorless is maybe helping it a little bit because it can get Ho-oh support, but otherwise, it's just not a good card. Now, Heatmore is up next. I'll put this one in B tier. I do think that Heatmore is pretty solid. The fact that it does more damage if your opponent's Pokemon is burned, especially if you pair it with Typhlosion. But again, if you do have to pair it with another card, then I don't think it can be great on its own. But still, Heatmore is going to be pretty solid. I think it'll be pretty popular going forward, especially if more people start to run Typhlosion and other stuff like that. Politoed, I'm going to put it... I don't know if I want to put it in A tier. Because, like, you need a Politoed on the bench. That's the thing. My only problem is that if you want to run Poliwrath and Politoed, then you're kind of cooked. I think I'll put Politoed in B tier. B tier is probably going to be the most heavy, by the way, because I'm trying to save S and A tier for the actual good cards. But Politoed, I'm putting in B tier because I think it has potential. Poliwrath's attack is 80 damage, and so with Politoed support, this goes up to 120, and it has a counterattack ability. Or you could just have 2 Politoads up and be doing 100 damage for 2 energy, which is also pretty solid. I do think the fact that it's in stage 2 really holds it back, because otherwise I'd probably have no problem moving it up higher. Ho-oh EX A tier. I don't want to do S tier, because I think it can just be a little bit too hard to make Ho-oh work sometimes. Like, it's a little too risky, I should say. Not too hard to work, but a little too risky. Like, if you lead with Ho-oh, you're probably cooked. You really need Ho-oh on your bench at all times so that you can be setting it up with, you know, like your baby Pokemon who can attach energy to it and stuff like that, or just anyone who can ramp energy for your Ho-oh is going to be helpful. If you start with Ho-oh, then it can be bad. Corsola, Find a Friend. I'm going to be honest, it's going in poop tier. I don't even have to think about it because this card can't evolve or anything. It's just a basic card that you play, and all it does is find a friend, and that's it. And I just think that in every case, you just want to be playing Eevee Find a Friend instead, because at least you can do something with that. You can play Sylveon or something like that. Maybe Corsola could have potential in like a water deck where you're trying to draw as many Pokemon cards as possible, like maybe with a Gyarados deck or something, but otherwise, I don't think it's that good. For Alligator, honestly, right now, okay, I shouldn't do this. I'm going to put it in A tier for the future. Like, right now, I think it's B tier, but for Alligator would be A tier in the future once the new Mantike card comes out, because it's going to be free water ramp in the baby Pokemon form. And I think that's the only thing holding for Alligator back, is that it's a 3 energy attack, because this is just like Beedrill EX. Beedrill EX was 2 energy and you could discard an energy from your opponent's Pokemon. And this is the same thing with Feraligatr, but it's 3 energy and it's not EX. So I think once Mantike comes out and you have more options for Water Ramp, then Feraligatr is going to be really strong. So I'm going to put it in A tier because I think next update it'll be better. Kingdra EX, I'm also going to throw this one in A tier. For 2 energy, it's honestly pretty solid. The only thing stopping me from putting Kingdra in S tier, because I do think this is a very powerful card, is the fact that it says your opponents can't retreat, but too many people are running Lyra nowadays, and that can bypass the retreat thing. So for that reason, Kingdra does not go in S tier because it gets countered a lot right now. But I still think it's a very strong card. Gyarados, I'm going to be honest, it's going in poop tier next to Corsola. I tried a couple of strats with this, and I guess it can work, but the problem with Gyarados is that you need a lot of Pokemon on your bench so that you can keep discarding them. And obviously you can bring them back with the Fisherman, the new Supporter Fisherman card, and you can also do this with Celestic Town Elder and the new Fishing Net that came in like A3 set. But overall, the point is, you need a lot of basic water cards that you're playing on your bench, and whenever you do this, it's very hard to actually get Gyarados consistently. Like, you're going to be having all your other Pokemon and not Gyarados. So I just think that, like, Gyarados requires a little too much support for it to work. Ampharos, I'll throw it in B tier. I think Ampharos is actually pretty solid. For 80 damage flip a coin. If heads, it goes up to 120, but tails, you do 20 damage to yourself. I think that's a pretty good card. Again, the coin flip is the only thing holding me back from putting it up higher. And I know we do have the new Will supporter card to help with that, but still, I think Ampharos just isn't super great. That's the right reason I'm putting in B tier. Like, I could put it higher, but I don't know. I can't. Pichu is another ramping card. This is going in S tier. I don't even have to think about it. Pichu and Magby are both going to be goated. Now, Elekid, I'm going to throw this dude in B tier. It does 20 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. And, like, this is okay, but I just think for a baby Pokemon, not good. Like, I really don't want to be doing damage with the baby Pokemon. I'm not going to lie. Maybe if you have, like, a Cyrus strategy or something like that, then you can pull it off. But I just don't really see the point. Like, I don't see a way you would run this as a baby Pokemon over an energy ramping one. That's my humble opinion, but I just don't like it. Looks like Raikou's up next. I don't know why it's all the way down here on this list. Actually, a lot of these cards are out of order now that I'm paying closer attention. But Raikou, I'm also going to put in the B tier. Again, for 2 energy, it's not bad. At least it's not as horrible as Entei's card, but it's still not a great card. Like, for 2 energy, you're only doing 70 damage, and I know you get to damage a bench Pokemon as well, but it's still not like, or no, it's not even to a bench Pokemon, it's 20 damage to itself, so yeah, no. Raikou, honestly, is going in the poop tier because of that. I thought it was 20 damage to a bench Pokemon, but nah, if it's 20 damage to yourself, then no. Emolga's going in B tier. Again, it does 10 damage to one of your Pokemon as well whenever you attack with it. And honestly, I thought Emolga had a lot of potential when it came out. Like, I saw this card and I was like, that's kind of nice that it does 10 damage to yourself, because you have a Pokemon who does more damage when it's already taken some damage, like in Incineroar or something like that, then this could be great. But the fact that there's no electric cards that have that effect is what's holding it back right now. Because if there was an electric card that was like, if you've taken damage already, then you do more, then I think Emolga would be fantastic. But it only pairs with the types that are not electric. Alright, I'm going to do Lantern EX next. And honestly, I'll put Lantern in B tier. Like, I want to go A, but because it's 3 energy, I just can't do it. Like, I'm not a fan of the Lantern EX, because again, this card is decent, but like, it's only decent because of its like effect with its attack, because I think this isn't really worth it for an EX card. Like, I don't know, I might be wrong. Also, Paralysis is just nerfed really hard now that Lyra's out. Like, Paralysis used to be broken. Like, if you paralyze someone, they're cooked. But now they could just pop Lyra and get out immediately. And I know you can do this before with other cards like Elima and stuff like that, but Lyra works on any card. It's not like limited to a certain type, so Paralysis isn't as big of a threat as it used to be, so I really don't think that this is that great of a card. Backtracking to Azumarill, it has a 3 energy, 60 damage attack, and its ability is Stick Fat, which lets it take minus 30 damage from attacks from fire or water Pokemon. We'll put it in B tier. It's not like terrible or anything by any means, but Azumarill would definitely thrive in a meta where fire and water Pokemon are super popular, but I just don't think they're popular enough right now. Quillfish, we'll put it in B tier as well. You know what? I'll put it in A tier. Because 1 energy, you poison your opponent, and it does 20 damage. That's honestly not bad. The retreat cost, actually, I just looked at the retreat cost, and I was going back in B tier. If it was a 1 energy retreat cost, it would be P, because you could attack 1 energy, you could attack, and then you can retreat out without ramping up anymore, but you have to attach a 2nd energy or have another way of retreating out cheaper. And I don't like that for Quillfish. Like, if it was 1 energy retreat, then it would be A tier in my opinion. Okay, up next, for some reason, I have this Squirt Bottle, and I don't even have to think about it, bruh. Get this card in the poop tier. I don't know who designed this card, but nobody wants it. Who asked for the Squirt Bottle? I want to know. Who asked for this card? This card is actually terrible. It's buns. Cleffa goes in S tier as well. This one is going to let you draw a random Pokemon, I believe. Yeah, you pull a random Pokemon from your deck into your hand. Again, all of these baby Pokemon that have like an actual good effect, basically the ones that don't attack, are probably going into S tier. The ones that attack, I think, are not worth it. Lyra's up next, S tier. I don't even have to say why. I've already glazed Lyra so many times talking about other cards, but the fact that you can move any Pokemon for free off of your active spot, and it doesn't even count as a retreat. You can still retreat after you do that. Just makes Lyra so good. It's going to be meta, like, for the rest of this game's lifetime, I think. Unless they somehow come up with, like, a better version. Delibird can go in B tier because it lets you draw a card. I think these cards that let you attack for 10 damage and draw a card are just okay. Like, they're alright if you're trying to draw cards. Like, again, it could be good in a strat with, like, Gyarados or something where you need to draw more cards. But nothing too crazy. Granbull is going in the B tier. I'm not a big fan of it. 3 energy, 100 damage, but it also does 20 damage to yourself. Again, decent damage for a non-EX card being able to dish out 100. I do not like the 3 energy, but because one of them is colorless, maybe you could pair it with one of those baby Pokemon that ramps energy or something like that, just to get like 1 extra turn of attaching energy off. But it's still not great by any means. Okay, now Mantine going in A tier. Once again, I think this card is going to be great in the future. And you do also have Will to make this card even better, but it's going to let you flip a coin, and if heads, then you basically take no damage or anything in your next turn. And so I think Mantine is already pretty solid. The 4 energy definitely hurts a lot to see, but when we get the new Mantike baby Pokemon card in the future, in this next update, it's going to be even better. So I think Mantine is going to be fantastic in this next update. Musharna is interesting. I'll put this one in A tier. I know that might seem very questionable, But I do think if you pair this with a Comfey, which Comfey, if you don't know, it makes sure that any of your Pokemon with Psychic Energy attached cannot be statused. And so I think you can overcome that sleep effect on yourself if you have that. And for that reason, Musharna has a lot of nice potential. It's not like a great card, but I do think it's pretty solid. Juana, I'm putting in A tier. I don't think it's had a lot of use right now, but it's still a very powerful card. It lets you move all of the energy on it onto one of your bench Pokemon after attacking. So you can throw out your Swanna, you can ramp up the Swanna, and basically the way I think Swanna should be used is it's like a backup. Like if you're playing and you're attaching energy, but you haven't drawn the card you need yet, then you're attaching all that energy to your Swanna, and then whenever you need to, you can just attack with Swanna and move the energy to one of your bench Pokemon when you finally do pull the one that you need. Girafarig, I'm sorry, it's going in poop tier. For 3 energy, it confuses your Pokemon guaranteed, but that's still really bad. 3 energy, 50 damage. Like Girafarig just takes way too much setup, and it's only 80 health, so it's not really tanky enough to stay out on the field. I don't like it. I'm sorry. Slowking is also going in poop tier. The reason is because the base attack for its Psychic is only 10 damage. And I think there's a lot of cheap strats out there now. There's a lot of cards that only have 1 or 2 energy attacks that are very popular. And just having your Slowking do only 10 damage for 2 energy just seems very bad. And especially if they only have 1 energy, you're doing 40 damage. So it can be very hard to make Slowking actually work, in my opinion. Smoochum, I want to put it in poop, but I'll put it in B tier because I do think it's a funny card. Like, for attaching no energy to it, it's basically just another version of Psychic. It does 20 damage for every energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. And I just think it's a funny card, you know? Like, I'll be honest, it's much better than Slowking because it's free, and there's not really like a drawback to using this attack over Slowking's besides the fact that you're only 30 health. But then again, I feel like if you're throwing out Smoochum, you're just trying to get some chip damage in before you bring out your next Pokemon, and you don't have to worry about attaching energy. So because it's a baby Pokemon that's free attack, free retreat, I'll put it in B tier. Kangaskhan up next, I'll throw in B tier as well. I'm not a huge fan of this attack. It's 20 damage. If your opponent's Pokemon is an evolution Pokemon, then it goes up to 60 damage, which is okay. Again, for 1 energy, definitely not bad, but once again, Kangaskhan gets held back by that 3 energy retreat cost, so it's very hard to get it out of the active spot if you want to be bringing in a different Pokemon. Jinx is also going to be going in B tier. I was thinking about putting it in poop, but I'm not going to. I'm not that toxic. But Jinx is 2 energy, 30 damage. Flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed, and I'm not a fan of it. I don't think that Jinx really deserves a goated spot on this list. Again, because paralysis is not that strong anymore, I just don't think it's that good. And it's not even a guaranteed pair, it's a coin flip, which, to be fair, a guaranteed pair would probably be a little bit broken, but I'm still not a fan of Jinx. Xatu, I'm going to put it in A tier. I think it had some decent use this season. It's a very gimmicky card. It puts your opponent's Pokemon at 10 HP, and so if they already have a status like a burn or a poison, then they're guaranteed to die, basically, whenever Xatu flips heads on its attack. The only thing holding back Xatu from being higher is the fact that it's very low in health. It's only 80 HP, so it's very easy to knock it out. But other than that, Xatu is honestly surprisingly funny, and it can also be a little consistent. Togekiss also going in A tier. This card flips a coin. If heads, then you take no damage from attacks. Not to mention the fact that you also have the Cynthia buff with this card. So it's 1 Psychic, 2 colorless energy, and you can use other energy types to sort of ramp it up quicker. Like you can run Pichu or Magby in a Togekiss deck, which I actually did try that once and it worked out pretty well. And because you're able to use Cynthia to get your attack up to 120 damage, I do think this is going to be a pretty good card. So I'll put it in A tier. Elemental Switch S tier, not even going to think about it. This card is just great. It's really changed up the meta a lot, and it's made it so that you can really rely a lot more on ramping up some of your expensive cards whenever they're lightning, water, or fire energy. Steel Apron is also going in S tier just because for cards like Skarmory, Solgaleo that really rely on having a good Pokemon tool attached to them, it's a great card. Like, I think Steel Apron deserves to be an S tier. If y'all disagree, you can let me know in the comments, but I think Steel Apron S tier, don't even have to back it up. It's a great card. Fisher is going in B tier. It's very situational. It's supposed to be used with Gyarados, but other than that, I suppose it could have some other use. It kind of depends. I suspect that maybe with the new Suicune EX that's coming out, it might get some play, but otherwise, it's not a great card. Will is going in S tier. It makes sure that your next coin flip is guaranteed to be heads, and I'm sure there's going to be more really garbage Pokemon in the future who have like a, hey, flip a coin, if heads, you just win the game or something like that. And so Will sounds very scary, and there's just a lot of potential for it to be broken. So I'm going to put it in S tier. Rescue Scarf, I'm going to be completely honest with y'all. I'm going to get hate for this. It's going in poop. I hate everything about this card. It's not worth it for a Pokemon tool. Like, me personally, in any deck where I'm scared of my Pokemon fainting, I'm not running Pokemon tool, I'm running Celestic Town Elder. Celestic Town Elder all the way, because I don't have to worry about it getting Guzma off. Because 9 times out of 10, your opponent is going to play Guzma and discard that Pokemon tool, because Pokemon tools are in almost every deck, and so almost everyone runs a Guzma now if they're actually good at the game. I don't like Rescue Scarf as a tool. I don't think it's worth it. Now, up next we have Unknown. I'm going to do both Unknowns at the same time. So there's the Guard Unknown, which if you have an Unknown in play, which is basically the other one, then all of your Pokemon take minus 10 damage from your attacks from your opponent's Pokemon, and then the other Unknown is going to have the ability where if you have both Unknowns active, then attacks used by your Pokemon do plus 10 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So basically, you can take minus 10 damage and also deal plus 10 damage if you have both of these Unknowns on the field. I'm going to have to put them in poop tier, I'm not going to lie, because these cards aren't great. They don't have good attacks either. I mean, they only do 20 damage for 1 energy, and for that reason, I just don't think they're great, because you need both of these cards. And keep in mind, when you're running these Unknowns, you can't have like 2 guard and 2 power Unknowns. You can only have 1 of each because they count as the same type of card. So you actually just have to get lucky and draw both Unknowns, or else you're cooked. Now, Wobbuffet going in B tier, it basically has like its little counter as an attack, and I think it's kind of cool. Again, for only 2 energy, it can be doing 80 damage, and usually your Wobbuffet is probably going to be doing 80 damage. For the most part, that's kind of the whole point of using it, is you want to be using it if you just got attacked. So I think Wobbuffet is decent. I'm going to get questioned for this a lot, but I'm putting Octillery in A tier. I think this card is so funny because if your opponent is like sweeping you with a card, you can just bring out Octillery and make them leave the active spot in order to actually be able to win the game. And it could be great for some funny stall, but otherwise, Octillery is just so funny. I'm not going to lie. Like, I think this is a really funny card. I kind of misunderstood it when it first came out, but now that I've read it again, Octillery is super funny, and I think it's going to be great in the future, especially when we get the mega cards. I think this is going to be really funny to just stall them out. So yeah, might be a little controversial, but I'm throwing Octillery in A tier. I'm going to finish out these water cards. So we have Crawdaunt up next. Now, Crawdaunt is going to have the ability, when you play this Pokemon from your hand, to evolve one of your Pokemon. You may discard a random energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. I think Crawdaunt is actually pretty solid. I think the fact that it's 3 energy is the only thing that's holding it back. If it was 2 energy and maybe a little bit less damage, then Crawdaunt would be great. But still being able to discard an energy from your opponent's Pokemon is a pretty good effect. So I'll put Crawdaunt in B tier. I think cheaper attack, it would be an A tier for me. And then Suicune is our last one, and I'm going to be honest with you, this card is going in poop. I don't like it. It's 3 energy, Cure Stream, it does 70 damage, and then attacks used by the defending Pokemon in the next turn do minus 20 damage. But again, this card is just way too expensive, and so you're usually not getting this attack up before Suicune dies. So I'm just not a fan of it, I'm not going to lie. Now, we have Silver up next, and I'm not going to lie, Silver is going in S tier. This card is super toxic, and a lot of people have been really taking advantage of it. I think Silver is going to be great as more of these updates roll out. Definitely a big fan. Hiker, I'm putting in A tier. I think it's very good for fighting decks. I'm not sure that I put it in S tier, but Hiker can be very powerful, especially if you're running like Lucario. Any strat where you're running Lucario as bench support, because you want to have 2 Lucarios on your bench. That means you're going to have a lot of fighting Pokemon in play already. And so if you're running a deck with Lucario, then Hiker definitely belongs there because it can help you draw a lot faster. Jasmine's going in A tier. Again, it's a great card. It only works on Skarmory EX and Steelix. If it had a little bit more variety in it, then I'd probably put it higher, but I just don't think Jasmine supports enough Pokemon for it to be higher on this list. Dark Pendant is going in S tier, I'm not going to lie. This is another new Pokemon tool that just came out, and it's super toxic because it forces your opponent to shuffle a card back to their deck when they attack you if you have it attached to your Dark-type Pokemon. And this basically halts their drawing process. Like, they're going to draw a card, discard a card, and then draw a discard if they attack you. And so Dark Pendant is really great, especially for tanky Dark-type cards. Moving on to some of our fighting, Mamoswine, I'm putting it in poop tier. It's way too expensive of an attack. 160 damage is very strong. I like the potential that Mamoswine has, but there's just not enough options for ramping fighting energy right now, and so I don't think Mamoswine is going to be that good. Gliscor is decent. I'll put it in B tier. Just because it's colorless energy. I suppose in a meta where you want to have a fighting type Pokemon as another option in any deck, Gliscor can be solid. Tyrogue is going in B tier as well. I'm not going to put it in C tier because I actually do think that Tyrogue, it's just okay. Like, also, you do have to remember the fact that Tyrogue does get buffed by other stuff like weakness and stuff like that. So when you're attacking with Tyrogue, if you're going into like an Eevee, you're doing 40 damage, and it also gets buffed by Lucario. And I've actually lost a game like that. Yeah, somebody was playing with a Tyrogue, and they went ahead and they evolved their Riolu to a Lucario on their second turn, and they attacked me for like 60 damage into my Eevee, and I just died. It was crazy, I'm not gonna lie. Hitmontop also going in B tier. This card is basically like Pheromosa for fighting types, and it's pretty solid. I think it's decent. The 2 energy retreat cost is really what's hurting it for me right now. I wish it wasn't that expensive, but otherwise it's not bad. Barbaracool, I'm going to put it in B tier. I do think 3 energy is not the greatest, but the fact that it's at least a stage 1 means it's going to have a little bit more health, so it does have some potential to try and get set up without just getting cooked immediately. Absol, I'm putting this one in B tier as well. It's going to have the ability to attack one of your opponent's bench Pokemon for 30 damage, which it's alright, you know, nothing crazy, but I do think Absol, it does have some potential in the future if more cards do come out, and I also think it's just great for setting up Cyrus plays. Murkrow and Honchkrow I decided to put on this list because of Murkrow's attack. So Murkrow has the attack Astonish. Flip a coin. If heads, your opponent reveals a random card from their hand and shuffles it into their deck, which is pretty decent. And then Honchkrow's attack is just a 2 energy, 60 damage. I'll put both of these in the B tier. You know what? I dare to put Murkrow in A tier. I think Murkrow is actually pretty funny. If we get another Honchkrow variant in the future, then it would be better. Like, Honchkrow right now isn't that great, but this Murkrow card is actually pretty solid, and I like it. Gyarados is going to be going in B tier here. It has a 1 energy attack, and your opponent cannot retreat in the next turn. Once again, I'd put it higher if Lyra did not exist, and for 1 energy, it's actually pretty solid. Houndoom, I'm going to put in B tier here. I want to put it higher, but the problem with Houndoom is that it's 3 energy. If it was cheaper, this card would be great. But I just don't like how expensive it is, because usually by the time you're able to attack with Houndoom, you're not really getting much benefit out of that discard a card from their hand. Now, if it was discard a card that's in their deck or something, then that would be a lot better. Steelix, I'm putting in B tier. It has some potential because it's 3 colorless energy. You can ramp it up faster either with Brock or with those baby Pokemon or cards like Ho-oh. But in general, I don't think Steelix is that good because it just has... It needs too much setup and it doesn't do enough damage. It's only 110 damage for 4 energy. Tyranitar is going in A tier. I really like this card. It lets you move all the dark type energy on the field onto this Pokemon. You can pair this with Darkrai, so you can attach energy onto your Darkrai and be doing chip damage and then move it all to Tyranitar. Or if you have 2 Tyranitars up and one of them is about to die, you can literally just pop the ability on your other Tyranitar and steal all its energy so you don't just lose the game from all your momentum. Scizor is going in A tier. I really like this card. If it just moves into the active spot, it's going to do 100 damage for only 2 energy, and especially with Lyra, you can really get away with abusing this card a lot. I think Scizor is fantastic, and I'm sure it's going to get more support in the future as well, so I just think it's a really good card. Fearow is going in B tier. Nothing too crazy about it. I don't really like these cards where they get a buff if they attack a certain type. I just don't think they're that good because there's way too much variety in the meta now. Blissey's going in B tier. Because it does more damage based on how much energy is attached to it. It has a lot of potential, but it's not great. The Porygon line is up next, and honestly I'm going to put them in A tier because I really like the way this works. Basically, if you evolve from Porygon, you can go into Porygon 2 and into Porygon Z in the same turn just by attaching an energy to that Porygon 2, so you don't really even need a rare candy in this deck. Obviously, you probably should still run it for consistency, but I really like the way this card is structured because you don't have to use rare candy if you don't want to. And then Porygon Z's attack is also just funny. It makes their attacks cost 1 more colorless energy, so basically the same effect as Stoutland, but it's still a pretty fun card. Then you Find a Friend Eevee, S tier. I mean, Find a Friend is already a great attack, but the fact that it goes on Eevee is even better because you can pair this with Sylveon EX or just any Eeveelution deck. So I think Find a Friend, this is so much better than Collect Eevee in my opinion. Yeah, Find a Friend Eevee, goated, belongs in S tier. Furret. I'm actually going to put this card in A tier. I might get hate for this, but if you go first, this card can actually be really good because for 1 energy, it does 80 damage. That's actually really high, and it's colorless as well. So there's a lot of potential for it to be goated, especially if you have Will in your deck and you're just getting a guaranteed head. So you could be doing a lot of damage with Furret off rip. We have Hoot Hoot and Noctowl up next. So Hoot Hoot's ability is that it can't be put to sleep. And then Noctowl is just a 3 energy attack. Flip a coin of heads, then it can't be attacked next turn. I'm going to put them in B tier because I'm not that impressed by them. Like, they are colorless, so they can be ramped in any way you want. And honestly, you know what? I feel like it's not fair. I have to put Noctowl in A tier. It doesn't really make sense because Fly is actually pretty strong, and for only 3 energy and it's colorless, this is honestly a very powerful attack. So I actually kind of like Noctowl a lot. The health is the biggest thing holding it back here. That's the only reason that I don't think it's used more often. Hoot Hoot is a pretty bad card. Like, I mean, I guess not being able to sleep is cool, but Noctowl is pretty solid because I didn't realize it was 3 energy. I thought it was going to be more expensive. I have Apom and Ambipom up next, so with Apom, I'm actually going to put this one in A tier because this is another option for drawing cards similar to Chatot's Shuffle. So Chatot has a card, Chatot has a card. I think it's from Mythical Island, but basically you draw cards, or no, you shuffle your hand and then you draw for how many ever cards your opponent has. And then with Apom, you draw cards until you have the same number of cards in your hand as your opponent. So if they're running like Sylveon EX spam and stuff like that, then Apom can be good to catch up. Again, I'm not sure if it's worth it for your attack, but it's still a pretty solid card. And then Ambipom is nothing too special, so I'm going to put that one in B tier. Dunsparce, I'm also going to put in B tier. It's 20 damage, flip a coin of heads, they're paralyzed. Not terrible, but I don't think it deserves to be an A tier by any means. Clink Cling, I'm going to be honest, is going in poop tier. I think any card that has the effect of like, if you attack with this card again, then it does like double damage. It's solid, but the problem is the second it leaves the active spot, it loses that effect. The only exception to this is Sweet's Relay, because with that card, it's not if this Pokemon attacks again, it's if you use the attack again. And I wish that's how they do that for the other cards going forward, because that's the only way they can be good. Because if your opponent has Sabrina or Cyrus, then you're just cooked with this strat. You can't win. Ursaring is alright. I'll put it in B tier because you flip 2 coins and it does 20 more damage for each head. So you're doing 60 damage. If you flip 2 coins, that goes up to 100. Not terrible, but I wish it was a little bit higher. I wish it was like 30 damage for each head. I think that make Ursaring a little bit more viable. Stantler is up next, and honestly, I'm going to put this card in B tier. I wish it was 1 energy. If it was 1 energy, this card would be so good. Like 1 energy and a little bit less damage for its buffed attack. But Stantler is still very powerful. I kind of like the way it's set up, and for colorless energy as well. You know what? I feel like put it in A tier. That might be controversial, but I think Stantler is actually very strong because it's colorless energy. You can run it in any deck, and I think it's going to be very strong against Pokemon Tool decks. Now, Smeargle, I would put it in A tier. I'm tempted to, because its effect is really cool. It changes the type of a random energy on your opponent's active Pokemon to basically something random. The only reason why Smeargle isn't better, in my opinion, is because a lot of attacks don't require all the energy be the same type. Like, they can usually have 1 or 2 colorless energy for their attack to actually go off. And for that reason, I don't think Smeargle is that good because it doesn't stall them out as much as you'd probably like it to. Now, Bouffalon is going in poop tier. I think any card where you have to continuously flip coins is never going to be viable. I know you can make it a little more consistent with Will, but I still do not like this. And for 3 energy, that's abysmal. I cannot imagine actually getting to attach 3 energy and then I just flip tails and like I lose now. Like that would be terrible. All right, Lugia EX. I'm putting it in B tier, even though I put Ho-oh in A tier, because Lugia is just a little bit too hard to set up. Like, obviously, you basically need the Ho-oh. You can't really set it up without the Ho-oh unless you get really lucky with the way you're just drawing your energy or attaching it with your baby Pokemon. But I'm still not a big fan of Lugia EX. Espeon is going in A tier. I like this card a lot. If you have 2 of them up, then you can basically switch back and forth between them and heal for 60 damage for free. Honestly, I'm putting it in S tier. I don't know why I put it in A tier. Espeon is very annoying to go up against because you really need a heavy hitter that can one-tap them if you actually want to take out Espeon. Donphan EX is also going in S tier. I think this card is great. It's only 1 energy for its attack of 50 damage, and then if you ramp up 3 energy, it goes up to 110 damage. And I think because you can attack immediately and keep doing continuous damage with Donphan EX, that's why it belongs in S tier. This card is really powerful in my opinion. Umbreon is going in A tier. I think it's solid. Obviously, I wish its ability would work from the bench, but that might be a little bit too broken. And because Umbreon has to be in the active spot, it's not that great, especially because it has a 2 energy retreat cost, which I think that was the only way to truly balance it. But otherwise, Umbreon isn't fantastic by any means necessary. Crobat EX, I have to put it in S tier. I mean, everyone's been using this card for 70 damage and you poison for only 1 energy. It's just a menace, bro. This card feels like it's the new Charizard EX from the Shining Rivalry set. Like, obviously, not really, but it's still very powerful, and it's 170 health. Super beefy. I like this card a lot. Skarmory EX, I'm going to put it in A tier. I think this card is pretty solid. It has a good attack. It can't really take a whole lot of damage if you have the cape and Jasmine and its attack all together. I think you take minus 80 damage if all these effects are stacked. But of course, the only downside to this is once Skarmory leaves the active spot, if they have Sabrina or Cyrus, then you're going to lose a lot of those buffs. But yeah, this is the full tier list. I guess we're done with all the cards from this set. Let me know down in the comments if you think any of my picks are controversial or if you agree with them. And also let me know if you guys are excited for the new set that's dropping tomorrow. I will be opening 100 packs when that set comes out. So make sure you guys are subbed if you do want to see that video when it drops, because I'm going to be dropping some money on this game and I'm hoping I can make it worth my while. That's all for me though. So thank you guys for watching and I'll see you in the next video.